Hey guys, what's up? It's Rachel back with another video, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about all of the best products from Urban Decay. I don't have any updates in this video, except if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you would like, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and you can also hit that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. But other than that, I'm just going to go ahead and get started with the best products from Urban Decay. So the first products I want to talk about are their complexion products. And when it comes to Urban Decay complexion products, I don't really have any on hand at the moment. I kind of got out of the swing of using their products. I never really was into their primers, but I did use a foundation there for the longest time, and I repurchased it probably maybe 4 times. But then other things come out and I kind of just quit using it, but I wanted to mention it because I really did love that foundation, and that is the Urban Decay Naked Skin Foundation. It was the first one that they ever released. It wasn't the matte version and not the newer one that they came out with. It is the first one that they ever released. It was a really lightweight but watery foundation, and it didn't emphasize any texture, and it was very full coverage. Again, I used to use that all the time. I maybe had 4 bottles of it. If you're somebody with extremely dry skin, I highly recommend that foundation. Again, I just got out of the swing of using it because all these other things come out, but I highly recommend it. I love that foundation. The next product I have to mention is the Urban Decay Naked Skin Ultra Definition Powder Foundation. I actually finished this off. I used it up. It was probably like, it hasn't been that long ago, but this is what mine looks like now. This is a powder foundation, so you use it instead of using a liquid. I was using a foundation and then putting this on top, and now I've been saying that I prefer to use it alone. Since I have used this up, I've been using an actual setting powder to set my foundation after the liquid, and I prefer it much better. I did enjoy this. I don't feel like I'll use it the same way. I'll use it alone and try it that way. I'm not really someone to use a powder foundation. I most of the time use a liquid and then set it with something. But again, after I use an actual setting powder, I don't really prefer this way anymore. So I'm going to use this alone. But I did like it for the longest time. It's very lightweight on the skin, and it does give a full coverage look. So if you're somebody that you are into powder foundations, I think this is a really good option. I just won't use it for that same purpose. The next product I want to talk about is a highlighter from them, and this is in the shade Aurora. Now, I will say when it comes to their highlighter formula, I don't think it's the best out there. It's kind of stiff, but it does give a really nice color payoff. And the reason I wanted to mention this shade is because I feel like it's very unique. And if you're somebody like me, I really do love a strong pinky highlight. And this shade in Aurora has the most prettiest pink effect that I have ever seen in a highlight. It's a duochrome, and it does have a very nice pretty shift to it. Again, the formula is not the best, but the color is just absolutely gorgeous, and I haven't really found a color like this in any other brand with a better formula. So I definitely wanted to recommend this, especially if you are into pinky highlights. The next product is a lipstick that I wanted to mention, and this has been a favorite of mine for a very long time. I used to wear this all the time. This is a cream lipstick in the shade Bad Blood, and this is actually in their older packaging. Since then, they have revamped the packaging, but again, this is the older one. When you open it up, this is what it looks like. It's a very true blue-toned dark red. I love this. This was one of my go-to reds for the longest time. The only thing holding me back from wearing this, it's very messy and it gets everywhere, but since then they have kindly revamped the formula and it's not as bad anymore. It stays put and it stays in place. I have never found a red shade that I prefer over this one. Again, I just don't wear it because of the formula. But again, this is one of my favorite reds till this day. The next product I have to mention is a classic. This is the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. This is the original one. I love this. I know a lot of people used to talk about this and rave about it. Nobody really talks about it anymore, and I guess there's just so many eye primers that have took over. But this is still one of the best products from Urban Decay. It covers up all the veins and redness that you may have on your eyelids. It's just really nice. It does help make your shadows last longer, and I just really love the formula of it. Again, it's a classic, and you can't go wrong with it, especially if you're new to makeup. This is one of the best primers to start with, and in my opinion, it will always be a classic. Now moving on to the eyeshadows, I have one single eyeshadow to talk about. I actually gave all of my Urban Decay single eyeshadows away except one because this is the only one that I grabbed for. This one is really unique. This is one of their single eyeshadows in the shade Tonic. So this is what the packaging looks like, and it's like a purple duochrome. and it has like a blue shift to it. It's one of my favorites. I've hit pan in it, and I used to wear this all the time. I'd always do like a neutral crease and kind of like deepen it up with a dark brown, and I'd pop this on the lid, and it's one of my favorites. And then I'd always smoke like a fuchsia shade on the lower lash line, and that was one of my go-to looks when I was in college way back when. And they still have this shade, and it's still to this day one of my favorites. It's very unique, and I just don't want to go and buy a bunch of Urban Decay singles that are very basic, that I have in a bunch of palettes that are boring. This one really is special in my opinion. I feel like it has the prettiest duochrome effect to it, and it's definitely one of my favorites to this day. Now we're getting into the eyeshadow palettes. I tried not to put a lot of limited edition palettes just because you can't get your hands on them anymore. But then I was thinking the video is intended to talk about the best products from Urban Decay, so I do have a few limited edition palettes in here. But the first ones I want to talk about are in the Naked line. I've done a video on all of the Naked palettes, and I told you what I thought on them. Pretty much, if you haven't watched that video, I think that the outer packaging ones are not that great when it comes to their quality, but the newer packaging ones are much better, and I really do like the color payoff. So the first one that I think is actually worth it is the Naked Cherry palette, and this is what it looks like. Very pretty pink tones and mauve tones. If you're really into shades like that, I feel like you'd probably like this. This is what it looks like. It's very similar to the Modern Renaissance, some of these shades in here, but they're very pretty. You have metallics in here, you have shimmers, and you have mattes, and it's just really pretty, especially for this time of year. So this is the one that I definitely wanted to mention. But along with that, I also wanted to talk about the Naked Heat palette, and I feel like this is the one that I've definitely used the most. This is what it looks like on the outside, and on the inside, it's full of warm tones and pretty neutral shades. I feel like you have mostly mattes in here, but you do have some pretty metallics and shimmer shades. You pretty much have everything you need. This is probably my favorite when it comes to the Naked palettes, and I did see that they're coming out with a new one here soon. The next palette from Urban Decay I'm going to talk about is the Naked Beach palette. This is hands down one of my favorites. I talked about this a lot here on my channel. I just love the colors in here, and this is one of the best formulas from Urban Decay. I love to mix these orange warm tones with these blues. I feel like it's really pretty, especially for the summer. This shade in here called Salt is one of the best inner corner highlights ever. If they made this in a single pan, I would definitely pick one up to pop in my inner corners and above the brow bone. And if they made like a big one, I'd definitely get it for a highlight. I feel like it's one of their best shades. Sadly, I don't think they make this palette anymore, but if you can get your hands on it, I highly recommend it. This is one of the best palettes from Urban Decay. The next palette I'm going to talk about is the Electric palette. Sadly enough, they discontinued this and brought out another palette that wasn't near as good as this one. This palette is full of pressed pigments, and they're very intense, and they will stain your eyelids. I've done so many eye looks with this palette. I remember when I first started my Instagram like a long time ago, I used to put up a bunch of pictures using this palette. I love it, and this is one of the best bright palettes that has ever been made, and I don't really understand why they took it off because it done so well, and it had been around for so long. It's one of the best palettes. I've never heard anybody say anything negative about this palette, so I really don't understand why they took it off, but again, this is one of the best bright palettes. The next palette is the Heavy Metals palette, and this came out around the holidays, maybe like 2 years ago or something. This is what the packaging looks like, and it does slide out. You have a side that is full of metallics that are neutrals, and then you have a side that's full of metallics that are more brighter when it comes to their shades. This is what it looks like, and I'm going to try not to blind you guys because it has that mirror in the center. This is one of my favorite palettes. I still use this to this day. I've used this so much. I like to use this with my Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. I just like to take the mattes in there. I really do enjoy the mattes in that palette, and I like to take these bold metallic shades from this palette. Again, this was limited edition, so you can't get your hands on it anymore, but it is one of the best. And I remember when this first came out, a lot of people were coming into Ulta and getting it, and then for some reason not long after, this palette ended up going on sale, and I remember people loving it so much that they came in and got a second one. I feel like the formula in this palette was just really, really nice, and I don't really see them do things like this anymore, so I'm hoping during this holidays we'll see something very similar to this. The next palette from Urban Decay is the Elements palette, and this came out last holidays. This is one of the best palettes. I love this. It's pretty much all metallic shades, but you do have a few shades for the crease. This is what it looks like, and first of all, I love the packaging on it. It's very unique. But then when you open it up, this is what the shades look like, and you do have a lot of duochromes in there. They really do have different shifts to them. Again, one of the prettiest palettes from Urban Decay. But for some reason, they didn't keep this up that long. I feel like it ended up going on sale pretty fast, so I don't know what the deal was with that, but again, this is one of the best from Urban Decay. The last palette I have to talk about from Urban Decay was definitely limited edition, and it was with a fellow YouTuber here, and that was Kristen Leanne. This is the Urban Decay and Kristen Leanne palette. This is what it looks like. I love the packaging on this. I remember picking this palette up, and I actually worked at Ulta. When you open it up, it looks a little confusing. I have never really seen a palette set up this way, but this palette is definitely her. It has very bold, colorful shades in here, and this here in the middle is like a split pan, and it's like a duochrome, so you can put these on top of the shades to change the color of them, and it gives them different effects. Very pretty. I have done some looks with this, and I absolutely love it. The color payoff is very, very nice. It's very pigmented, and they're very easy to blend. Again, a very good palette from Urban Decay. This, in my opinion, was one of their best, but again, it was limited edition. But other than that, that was all the products that I had to talk about in this video. This is all the products that I believe are Urban Decay's best. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I just want to thank you guys so much for being here and watching and commenting. It honestly means the world, and don't think that you go unnoticed, because I truly see you and I truly do appreciate you. But before you go, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell below so you're notified every time I upload a video. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.